say hello. You want to say hi?
Yes, the beard.
the gloriousness of the beard. Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Make New Friends Friday.
That was a peace sign, not a bird. I don't know if you can see that or not.
I can. Pace to you. Can you count down?
It was not the bird.
I know. Hello. Welcome. I hope you guys are all doing good this morning. Happy Friday. I have my half and half caffeinated, half not caffeinated coffee, but it's still doing the job. So feeling good this morning. Got a new bright pink t-shirt on Black Friday, so that's super fun. Getting to wear that. I hope you guys, like I said, I hope you're all doing well. I do have one announcement before we bring on today's guest. And I did not grab it, so let me get it from the bookshelf. Okay. I love that I just called that a bookshelf. It's a yarn shelf. There are no bookshelves in this room. Okay, so today I got to finally release the hook bandolier pattern. So this is finally live in the Etsy shop. This has been on the to-do list forever. The captain was actually the one who wanted me to release this even sooner. So it's finally here. So this lovely thing, you undo this guy here. I'm going to take that out like this. I'm going to open it up. And it holds your jumbo crochet hooks. Woo woo! So I've got a couple pink sheep hooks in here, a couple other hooks, but the great thing is when you fold it, your hooks obviously don't fall out because these panels hold them in. We actually also realized, my testers, my lovely, amazing testers, realized that this is also a perfect project for markers, Sharpies, makeup brushes, all of the wonderful things that would fit in these little slots that you can travel, you can take along with you. And you can also sew up the seams of the sleeves. I left 2 rows of ribbing for each one to fit, but you can sew them up smaller if you want to use them for smaller hooks. So this pattern is finally available in the Etsy shop for you guys to check out. So super exciting. I realize I haven't released a pattern in a minute. All of my patterns have been just caught up in issues that were not foreseen. I'm waiting on Hooked, the yarn company Hooked, to approve one of the patterns that we're going to collaborate or release on, so that's been held up. My Max jacket has had multiple updates that it's had to go through during the testing phase, so it got held up. So it's just kind of one thing after another that's held up some of my patterns that are in the queue, but that one is finally here, so super excited about that one. And let's see if our guest is already here. Let's see if I can. If she, oh, yep, there she is. Of Knitting Tipsy. Hopefully this will work. Hello.
Hello. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Do you have some wind happening there? Because I immediately felt like I heard sea breeze wind.
It's a little windy.
But it's totally different. It's a totally different sound there. Like you can immediately tell this is Florida wind. This is wind through palm trees.
It really is. You can hear it like through the fronds of the trees. It's a warm wind. Sometimes it's even a salty wind. We like it.
Yes. Well, I am so excited because I don't know if everyone here knows. We've been trying to make this happen for a little while.
This has been months in the making.
Yes, and things happen and life happens, but I'm so excited that you're finally here.
So excited to be here. Thank you.
And you've been going live a lot. I feel like I've been getting a lot of notifications. I know you just went live with I'm gonna butcher her name if I try to say it. Is
Maya Luna.
Yes, Maya Luna Corazon, right? Yes.
Yep.
So I saw you live with her. I know you're going live with an advent calendar. I know that you've got a new subscription on Instagram that I figure we can talk about a little bit, maybe.
Oh boy, there's a whole story there.
It sounds like it. Well, before we like super jump in, I would love if anyone who is on here right now who does not know who you are and has not met you yet, if you just want to do a quick little intro to who you are.
Sure. Hey, y'all. I'm Chelsea of Knitting Tipsy. I am a Florida girl, a warm weather crocheter, a boozy tropical girl. My wine was not yet chilled to the perfect temperature, so I put one of my whiskey stones in there.
Oh,
Like,
I love it.
yeah, but I create size-inclusive knit and crochet resort wear. So your bikinis, your cover-ups, your lightweight sweaters. I don't design anything for the cold weather. Everything that I design, you can take on your vacation with you. I'm also a big advocate of size-inclusive patterns and testing. I do a lot with body confidence and how to wear your knits and crochets confidently in the beautiful body that you already have. And I talk a lot about mental health and self-love. So that is I.
Yes, and I love it. I feel like you have really found a good niche. You offer a lot to your community. I feel like you offer a lot of just valuable resources in that way. And even if it's not like a physical resource, it's just, like, you know what I mean by resources. I think people come to Instagram
Trying to share a lot of tips. I mean, I've been in therapy since I was little, but my most recent therapist that I've had for the last year, I always joke with her. I'm like, just so you know, you are therapizing my whole community as well. And she laughs, and I tell her, like, okay, so I took your tips and then created this like thing, and she's like, oh, good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I think that's, a lot of people ask, when it comes to making an Instagram account for like a business or a brand personality. I guess it's really all meshed now when it's just kind of one person or two people who are running a business. And I always tell them it really goes back to like, what are the things that are really important to you? What are your values? And if you can find a way to interweave those, then people have more reason to connect with you than just what you're making.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think people do a disservice to themselves that are small business owners when they think I can only post about business stuff. Because that's how, like, you're buying from a small business. You're not buying from Amazon. People want to know who you are, and they're more likely to buy your products if they feel a connection to you. I have some people that I follow, I don't need half the shit that they have, but I just like them so much. And I'm like, oh, they have? Oh, yeah, I'll get that too. Like, people connect with you on that level. It makes them want to know more about you. It makes them more invested in your products. So I always tell people, like, share the things that you're passionate about. Don't just make it, your business account. It's you are also kind of the product.
Yes, exactly. I agree. I mean, it's funny when you find yourself like someone who knits or crochets, and I don't know if you've done this, but I have definitely purchased things that have already been knitted and crocheted from other people.
Oh,
I'm like, I just want to support you.
And we know as makers how much freaking time goes into that. Sometimes I'm like, well, I want it, but I don't got time to make it. Or like, I just, I want the finished product. So I am very happy to support other makers knowing how much work that took. And then you get like a beautiful, wonderful, loving, made with love gift out of it. It's great.
And that's what was crazy. I did a small sample sale a while back and was very surprised that the people that bought my samples were buying my patterns. And I was like, but you could make it. And so it's crazy.
Doesn't matter. It's nice. And I also feel like it's nice to kind of see how other people, like, it was not windy like an hour ago. Like, Florida, watch. Well, it's clear blue skies, but in the time that we're talking, a thunderstorm will roll in. Yeah. It'll be great.
But it'll be gone by the time it's over.
By we finish, yeah, it's all fine. It's all fine. But yes, I like to buy things and like seeing other people's stitches and just like holding that wonderful thing that they've made is pretty cool.
So are you making any Christmas gifts right now? Do you have Christmas plans for anyone making anything?
Sorry, I have a hair in my mouth here, stuck on my lip. There we go. Okay, success. So I do, but I haven't started any of them yet.
Yeah,
I will be making 5. Luckily, 4 of them are very small. They're like 2 to 4 hour projects I'm making for my littles, my nieces and nephews. 2 mermaid plushies, and 2 dinosaur plushies.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I'm so excited. And I love plushie making is like my selfish little like hobby, because I mean my husband's always like, did you make another stuffed animal? And I'm like, what do you want to say about it? And he's like, where the fuck are you gonna put this? Like, what are you gonna do with it? What are you gonna do with it? You're 34 years old, Chelsea. And I'm like, they make me happy. And he's like, I'm sorry, make it then, make it. I have like 6 Eeyores. Eeyore makes me happy. And then I give them to people. Like, I snuggle them for a little bit, and sometimes I'll pet them and I say hi to them. And then, like, if somebody tells me they're sad, like, okay, you can have an Eeyore. Like, Eeyore for you. But,
they're
plushie
emotional support plushies.
What?
I said they're emotional support plushies.
They are emotional support plushies, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Make me so happy making them, and then you just see this cute little finished object. So the nephews are getting that, the nieces too.
So do you make your plushies with chunky yarn, or do you still use lighter weight yarn?
Oh, no. We use chunky yarn. I use, like, the blanket yarn, the thick, because I want this done in 2 to 4 hours. I have seen, what is her handle? Pebble something. She makes the most gorgeous, and they're knitted. My plushies are always crochet, but she makes these knitted stuffed animals that are so stunning in fingering fucking weight yarn. They're gorgeous. They're gorgeous. They look so like almost like an antique look to them, and they're whimsical. And one day I will make one of them, but I don't have the time for that right now. So I want a chunky. It's going to be hard to destroy. That's what I want.
Well, and the reason I asked is because you do use a lot of lighter weight yarn. So I was like, I feel like that's like your excuse to go buy chunky yarn, right? Yes.
And it makes me so happy, like switching up the weight sometimes. Even going, bikini yarns, I'm using like lace weight and fingering weight yarn. So even going to like this DK sweater, I'm like, it is flying off my needles. Like, it's just so fast compared to fingering weight. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, and then here I am on the other side of the spectrum.
With all the chunky, it looks so good.
This is the newest one that is going through testing that is made with a jumbo weight yarn.
Oh my gosh, is it velvet?
Yep. So that's the best.
Oh my god, that is gorgeous.
So it's
I
got a
love
little tie. And it can have a little hood if you want it to be a hood instead of a big old,
Oh my god,
thing.
I love it.
So,
I love it. Jumbo. I made a Santa hat recently in jumbo velvet yarn.
Is that a knitting pattern?
It's a knit pattern.
I need to share that in my roundup because I have a jumbo weight crochet hat, so I need to have a flip side so that my knitters can.
And I want to reshare because a lot of people in mine are going, are you going to make a crochet one? They're not saying it bitchy like that. I'm sorry. That was just me being funny. No. Nobody has been a bitch about it. But, it's like, I wish it were crochet. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's knit. But there are so many amazing crochet ones out there. So we'll team up and we'll be like, here's some jumbo ones for you.
Definitely. Because then it works up so fast. And actually, my husband has claimed that one. He wears the one that I've made. He wears it every Christmas now. Every Christmas. So hopefully it continues to last.
Oh yeah, I make one once a year, but I have all of them and like use them for different
colors.
Yeah, so I had a red one that I ended up giving to someone, and then I have a red sparkle one that I made last year. So now I had that one, but now I have my pink one made with pink velvet yarn, and I think I have a really cute photo shoot idea. I think I'm gonna make a blue velvet one and make me and my husband go to the nude beach and get some funny pictures. So.
That's a really fun idea. Yeah, I can just see it now, like your backs are facing the camera just with your Santa Claus hats on.
Might do one with the front with like 2 balls of yarn right here. Like,
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And where in Florida do you live?
I live in Orlando. So I'm in East Orlando, just about as far east of Orlando as you can be and still be in Orlando. So
Gotcha.
But Florida's such a thin state. So I'm at the beach in 45 minutes one way and an hour and a half in the other. So
that's awesome. And so did you grow up in Florida?
I grew up in the Beeve, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but outside of Pittsburgh.
Ways away.
Yeah.
And when was the big move to Florida? And was it I want to move to Florida, or was it another opportunity that brought you there? How did that happen?
Yes. So I went to undergrad in Erie, Pennsylvania, which is even colder than Pittsburgh, and we get that lake effect snow and everything.
I
And
can't
then
see you enjoying life there. Just from
I was I got seasonal depression every year since childhood. But I was lucky, my family, we've always traveled in the winter for a vacation. Every winter since I can remember, we went somewhere warm. You know, usually sometime between like November and February, there was a trip that happened. And a lot of them, because my family's very Disney obsessed, we would often do Florida. We did other places too, like through the Caribbean and stuff. I was really very privileged and lucky to do that. But Florida was one of my like happy places. And then my mom's best friend and her daughter moved to Ocala, which is about an hour-ish outside of Orlando, and it's horse country. So she was an equestrian. She did the junior nationals and all that. So we would go fly into Orlando and visit them in Ocala like every 3 months. And I got to know a lot about Orlando. So after graduating, I followed my then boyfriend, now husband, to Washington, D.C., lived there for 7 years. And then I was like, I want the fuck out of here. Yeah. So we were looking around, and it's like, okay, well, where can we go? And he said his job would allow him to move different places. So we looked at Colorado, Hawaii, and Florida. And I pushed hard for Florida. So.
Yeah. Well, and what was your reasoning was Hawaii just too far away from, like, to be able to visit family? What was the reasoning?
Yes. I mean, I would have loved Hawaii too. That was choice number 2. But it was just kind of far away. And my husband was, I'm thinking, let's look at the beaches and the things that there's to do. He was looking at like cost of living and the price of a house, the shit that I wasn't worried about. So he's like, oh my God, everything's so expensive in Hawaii. And I'm like, yeah, so we should probably go to Florida, right? Yeah. So he was very sweet. His favorite outdoor hobby is skiing, but he loves me that much that we moved to Florida, and now he loves it. Skiing. Yeah.
I almost thought you said peeing, and I was like, that is a guy thing.
That would be my father's. There's a bathroom right there, and he walks outside. I'm like,
yeah, why use the plumbing?
I have to say, though, if I had the ability, I would pee outdoors a lot more.
It's a lot harder for us.
So much harder.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about your kind of, I always had to call the origin story with crocheting and knitting. So, like, when did that become a part of your life?
Very early on. My great-grandma, Grammy Kay, she always used to tell us that she thought she came across the United States on a covered wagon, like in a past life.
Yeah.
But she passed away 2 years ago at the age of 99. Yeah, but oh my gosh. So since she was young, she was always into making. She did a lot of sewing. She made all of her kids' clothes and stuff like that. And then in her 40s, she got into spinning and weaving and dyeing and knitting and crochet, like all of the things.
All of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in her 50s, she started doing demonstrations at local fairs in Pennsylvania and Ohio. And as her kids grew up, grandkids grew up, great-grandkids grew up, we would help her with these, like, shows and stuff. So I think the first time I went, I was 6, and we'd dress in the old tiny clothes, and little bonnets and everything. And she taught me to spin on a spinning wheel, to use a loom, to knit, to crochet, to hand stitch. And I'd go to these demonstrations. I learned how to shear a sheep when I was like 9.
Wow.
So don't think I could still do it, but I learned.
That's awesome.
And so I started then, but probably when I was 16, I stopped helping her. I had all my after school activities and things. Didn't really pick up my knitting needles or my crochet hook until 2014. I started going through a really bad depressive bout, and my mom had called me and said, hey, I was cleaning out your childhood room, and I found your yarn and knitting stuff. I think, Grammy Kay had given you. Do you want me to give it back to her, throw it away, donate it? I was like, could you send it to me? She's like, all right. So she sent it, and when it arrived the one day, it was a particularly bad day, and I grabbed it, and I just started trying to see what I remembered. And 2 hours later, I ended up with the wonkiest looking towel ever. And
Yeah.
I just burst into tears because for 2 hours, my brain stopped being mean to me. It quieted. My anxiety went like really low. I was just listening to the clicking of my needles. And I had this product at the end of it that even though it was wonky, I felt so proud of myself. And that was kind of the moment that I was like, I'm gonna try this out for my mental health, and just started grabbing patterns left and right. Then I discovered the Yarny community on Instagram and found out, holy shit, there are cute knitting patterns and crochet patterns. Like, this is actually attractive clothing.
Yes.
And yeah, and then just went from there.
Yeah, I feel like it has definitely, there's such a wave of modernization in the crochet community, and, you know, and vintage. I mean, like, vintage is always coming back around, you know.
Patterns are gorgeous. I didn't mean to knock that, but
No,
I guess I should say sexier patterns. That's more what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Today's patterns are a little sexier.
Yeah, and so many people putting their own take on what they want crochet to look like, and all of these different niches that I've found where, you know, people are saying, I didn't see patterns that I wanted to see out in the world, so I decided to make them.
Yes.
You know, and I really think, and you can let me know how you feel, but I know with COVID, I mean, explosion of creativity and people picking up hobbies. You know, I know all the hook makers are like, oh my gosh, I've never done so well in my entire life selling pretty crochet hooks.
Yeah. We all it was interesting. I saw somebody had written this, that like when shit hits the fan, we turn to art. You know, we turn to making and creating. And I think a lot of people who may not have considered themselves creative, like I never, as a kid, as a teenager, as a young adult, I didn't think I was a creative person until I found that medium that really speaks to me. And I'm like, holy shit, I am creative. Okay, this is cool.
Yeah. I'm an artist.
I know. Who would have thunk?
Yeah, and I think it's that. I feel like it's the creativity and it's the nostalgia. I feel like those are like hand in hand of, you know, kind of going back to like that comfort of, you know, being younger. And I know for me, and I think it's hidden under here, I made my first, I've been wanting to make one forever, but a Christmas cardigan. And I decided, I was like, I need to make something that feels classic for me. Yeah. Like, it's my twist. But to me, it feels classic. So I have to show you, because I think I've shared like one picture of it on.
Oh, I can't wait to see.
And I've been wanting to make something that almost felt like a robe too. So.
Oh my gosh, look at the colors. This made like instant happiness looking at it.
Oh yeah, so star on top of the Christmas tree, and then, you know, the classic red and green.
Yes, so that's exactly what it looks like, that star on the Christmas tree.
Oh, we've got this. Ribbon. And then I attached the...
Oh, I like that, so it doesn't keep falling out like most of the stuff.
And I don't have to keep up with it.
Oh, that looks so... And I like about that, like, that's perfect for lounging, but honestly, if you put that with like a nice pair of black pants and like a red camisole underneath, that would be gorgeous to wear to a party.
And you should have seen too, so obviously, and this is something we can talk about as well, because you have been designing and working with pattern testers, but the vision that my pattern testers had for this design, because I gave them, you know, I usually give them all of the freedom in the world. I just tell them, I need you to follow the color changes, but they can be whatever changes you want, because I need to make sure the striping counts are right. And we had someone do a vintage Christmas, punk rock Christmas, you know, like just so many different decisions and colors and, you know, sparkles or no sparkles, or, I mean, it's just amazing. It's amazing.
I know that there are people out there who don't test their patterns. Like they get a tuck editor, which is amazing. Or maybe they have certain sizes tested, or maybe I've seen people that like, yeah, it's been tested, and then they don't post the photos. Yes. Again, I feel like it's such a disservice, because I don't buy something unless I see it on a body type that looks like mine.
Yes.
And I love my plus size, because like if your pattern is graded to 5X, it is amazing to see it on a 5X tester and have that, especially when that tester feels confident and they're showing it off. And I just read an article and I like agreed and disagreed with it, that somebody was saying that designers put too much on a tester's plate and they're like, they have to post these pictures on Instagram. And they kind of went off in a different direction, that you shouldn't have to do that if you're giving good feedback. And I'm like, okay, but we're also a business and it sells better if you can see it. And from and from a body, self-love, confidence, advocacy kind of platform, we need to see handmade clothing on bigger designers. Yeah. It needs to be shown that it can be done. It looks amazing, and anybody can make their own clothes if they want to.
Yes.
So I really kind of disagreed with that article, and I feel bad for whoever wrote it. We could have a conversation later. But yeah, and seeing how testers put their, because I am beachy and bright and sandy neutrals or bright like Miami vibes. Yes. And then I have people who are like dark academia and goth. Yeah. And I love seeing how they can take my pattern and make it theirs. And it's just, and then you look, it's like, damn, now I need one in that colorway too. Like,
great. Well, and I 100% agree. So with, because I do require now, and I didn't used to, but now that because I do test extra small to 5X. So that's the norm now. Thank goodness for Craft Yarn Council, because now I know what standard measurements are, and that's super helpful. But I do require, when my testers apply, it says, I do require you to take a picture of you wearing the finished item. I need your measurements, because at the end of all of my newer patterns, as of the end of last year, the end of the pattern has a measurement guide. So it's got a photo of the tester, has their measurements and what size they made. I'll have to send you.
I do a yardage spreadsheet that's like, it has each individual tester's information. Sometimes I include measurements, sometimes I don't, but I always put the size that they tested and then like how much yardage and any differences that they did. And I have found that to be awesome, but yours sounds like a step up there and even better. And I kind of want to do that.
I'll send you one of my patterns. You can check it out. And when I first started it, I didn't want people to feel like I was putting their too much personal information out there. So I wasn't like putting their name or anything. I was just like, this is the tester, here's their picture. And someone said, can we get tagged? Like, can we get our, and I was like, yes. And so now if they download the PDF, they can click on the image, it takes them to their Instagram. So that's a way to kind of shout out and give back to the testers, again, more recognition, because there is a lot on their plate. That's a huge part of that.
Oh, yeah. And I make it a requirement that you have to have a photo, not necessarily with your face, but it's a garment on your, but like I want to see it on your body. Yes. But that spreadsheet that I do is opt in or out, or you can opt in and tell me which information you don't want posted. So like if it was a hip size kind of thing and you don't want somebody to know which size category you're in, I'll just put your name and like, at the bottom, and then like still your yardage so people can see your photo and see about how much yardage. But I totally get that. And at the same time, I'm like, but it's important. It's so helpful to see that. Even myself, I'm a mid-sized person in my own opinion. So like I can be anywhere from, in regular clothing, I run the gamut. Like some days I'm a 6 and other days I'm an 18. It just depends.
Yeah, and on the clothing.
Generally, I tend to fit into like large, extra large, and then sometimes it's like, but if I want a different ease or fit, I'll make a 2X. If I want it like a tighter fit, I'll make a medium. It just, and I think that's what's really cool about being makers is we can play with measurements and patterns that way. But it's just, it's really important for people to be able to see that, especially if you're making your own clothes. More information, the better.
And I don't know if you've seen it, but I think one of the most rewarding parts of having a pattern testing community, because that's now what it feels like for me, the more people have come back. I have a Discord channel now so that they can kind of stay in the loop and be there, and is seeing the growth because all of my patterns are so beginner friendly. I'll bring in people who've never tested a pattern, like they've never, so this is kind of their first intro to that. But seeing like some of their very first photos that they submit to like finding confidence in like the third or fourth or fifth, whatever, seeing the growth in the photos they're taking, like they're really taking pride in styling everything and find their own look to like what they're submitting. And then when they go and release their own pattern and it's so for each other.
It's so awesome whenever you see, because it's like somebody that was nervous at the beginning and then you're like, look what you made, and like from your own brain, the testers, and I love that too.
It's amazing.
Pretty cool process. I love the testing. My testing chats, I put a disclaimer on all of my applications because I know that it's annoying to get those notifications sometimes, especially if you are a serial tester and you're in different like chats and stuff. I don't require people to be in the testing chat. Any updates to the pattern, and I use Google Docs as we work on the pattern, I send out via email and through the Google Doc. So my tester chat groups are the chatty ones. I'm like, yeah, show me your dog picture, show me this. Yeah. And if you want to like feel confident, so when we were making bikinis or different things with cup sizes, I get a lot of boob pics of like people holding cups up to their boobs and then trying them out and asking like, okay, how does this top look with this? And we get all these sexy, and we just, yes, girl, like cheering them on, or like, does anybody have advice? I don't like how my stomach looks in this, which is a fair and valid thing. We don't always love how our bodies look. Is your body fine the way it is? Absolutely. But yeah, if you don't like how something looks, then let's work together and see how we can make you feel confident with, that way. So I like my tester groups for that, especially because it just feels like a big cheering squad.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm going to need to send you, because I was trying to think what pattern I could send you. And I'm going to have to send you one of my bralettes because
please do. Yeah.
I said after my very first pattern that I ever released back in 2016-ish was a bralette, which is like a ridiculous thing to try to be like your first pattern that you release because, that's taking on a lot. And I think I only did like 3 sizes because I tested them all myself, like on Friends. I think maybe 2 or 3 people looked over the pattern, tested it for me because I was so new. And I was still very proud,
As
but
you should be.
I said, I'm never going to do a bralette again. I'm never going to do a crop top again. Boobs are ridiculous. Like there's too many.
They're difficult to size.
But I kept having people say like, can you try? Can you try? And support, and I don't know if you found this, testers can be like the biggest cheering squad ever. If you're like on the fence of like, I don't know if I want to do that, they're like, yes, please do. You can do it. We're here. We can help you.
Yes. And you need all the boobs. You need boobs in all different sizes. Yeah. So it's very helpful to have that tester group.
I'll send you, I'll show you both because there's 2 there. I ended up releasing 2 that summer, which is this past summer, which is crazy.
Yeah. Because I think we had talked about that whenever I was supposed to go live with you the last time. Yeah.
Yes. And I think I had 50 testers for each one because I had like every cup size that I could possibly manage. And it was, so what I ended up doing, because the same thing, I knew like not everybody's going to feel great about wearing a bralette or a crop top without anything covering it. Because even for me, I wear them as a bra substitute. I don't wear crop tops just out and about in the world. So I made a video that was like, here are 5 different ways to pose and like style it to like, so that the testers felt. And I feel like that's the kind of stuff you do regularly on your feed of just like, this is how I'm going to style this. These are 3 different ways to wear this item. And I think that it's so powerful, to see that and have somebody show that confidence in their body. Even if, like you said, I've seen posts where you say, some days I'm not happy with how I look. And this is how I deal with it, Yeah.
Body confidence and love for your body is always going to be a journey, and I don't even think that supermodels love their body 24/7. I mean, there's just so much societal pressure and patriarchy and just everything else that makes us doubt ourselves and makes us compare ourselves and think that we're never good enough. You're never going to reach that point. So finding ways to work through that. And I mean, because I used to just, all right, then I'm not going to the party. Then I'm not going to go do the fun thing because I don't like how I could look in it. And that's terrible. Like, it's so sad that you miss out on these opportunities because you don't like how you look. And then I look back at pictures of myself from that time. I'm like, oh my God, girl, you looked great. Like, what? You look great now. You looked great then. It's never been a problem with my body. It's always been what I thought about my body. So I did for a while. I was doing Get Ready With Me reels where I'd be like in my. Cute. I love them. Instagram. The bots that like to like censor, they didn't love them as much as I did, but that's all right. I keep saying do more of those, and I'm actually going to be starting up a YouTube channel, so I'm like, those will be great for styling. Yes. For how to style things, especially because like I don't do sweater. Well, this is kind of a sweater. Sweater-like. It's sweaterish.
Sweater-ish.
But most of mine are like your bikinis and your crop tops and things like that. But it is important to see it. And I have so many, we just had my plus size, all sizes, but especially my plus size, sometimes they wear something and I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Like, how did you do that? That's so good. And then I learn ways that I want to style my own handmaids based on them. So
yeah, I think it's super smart. And I know for me, it wasn't, and I still struggle, same thing. I still struggle. It doesn't matter what size you are, how you look, you're always going to have those days where you look in the mirror and you're like, for real? Like, this is as good as it gets, you know?
This is it.
But I do think that it was into, when I got into my 30s, I think that was when I was like, you know what? Like, I'm so thankful for having the body that I have and that it does what it does and that I, you know, can go do these things. And, you know, I think most of us at some point in our life go through health issues. So like, I'm grateful to have gotten through my own health issues and like be where I am now. And then like style wise, it was in my 30s that I was finally like, okay, I've kind of figured out what I like and you know, how I want to look. And that makes it a lot easier too. And I think that this community is super helpful to see like how people are styling things, what they're making, what they're wearing. Like, it makes you really start to think, okay, don't like this, but I really like this. Maybe I could try it. And it's very confidence boosting.
I love seeing the trends that I thought I couldn't wear, or seeing things that, you know, the magazines are like, oh, don't dress like this if you have this body type, dress like this. I love when people are like, and then they go and do that and they look amazing in it. I can remember wearing so many baggy things because I didn't like how my body looked. And now I wear crop top. I mean, this is a crop top. Hello. Yeah. I wear crop tops and skirts and shorts and pants almost every day. That is, my vibe is crop tops and high-waisted things. I love how it looks together on my body. But if you had told me at like 25 that that's how I would be dressing, I would have laughed my ass off at you. Like, no, I'm not comfortable doing that. And now I'm like, this is how I feel the most comfortable. This is how I feel, you know, that flatters my body. So I love the other style that I'm really loving and I'm trying to embrace. I grew up thinking that you couldn't have your tummy showing in like a bodycon dress, or, you know, and especially the belly button, the dreaded belly. Who can know that I have a belly button? Like, but it was never able to show through. So like, oh my God, the shape and shapewear nowadays I do think is more comfortable. And if people feel confident wearing shapewear, then wear it. But the idea that you have to wear it because you can't show your tummy or your hip dips or your cellulite or whatever it is pisses me off. So it's been a journey, but I threw away my shapewear and I've been like, I'll put something on and I turn, I'm like, there she is. There's the belly button. There's the tummy. All right. And I like take deep breaths and I'm like, we're rocking it anyways. We're going to fake it till we make it and we're doing it. And it's made me so much more confident and comfortable with my own body as it changes, because our bodies are always going to change.
Yes. And I do think fake it till you make it can work really well in certain things, certain instances, for sure.
Yeah. Job interviews, rocking some item of clothing that you want to do, fake it till you make it. Act like you are the sexiest bitch walking down the street and people will think you are. It's amazing how it works.
And I wish like our 18-year-old selves realized that. Like it would have made life a lot easier and less like depressing and frustrating.
If we taught girls how to be like confident and owning it and if we did that instead of what we were taught, boy, life might have been different, but that's okay. We've learned it now and we are advocating for it now.
Yeah. Well, and I think for me, I've been having to learn to embrace the high-waisted stuff because I grew up when like low rise.
92,000s, I hear you.
Yes, Christina Aguilera, you know, that kind of stuff. And so I grew up not feeling comfortable with anything on my stomach because everything that was out there to purchase was lower waisted. And even though it may not have been like the most confident feeling, because I would wear like something baggy over the top of it, because I was like, I don't feel like this is super flattering, but this is what's out there. And so I've had to now, it's like, oh, this is great. Like, I have it. I mean, this is, you know, so I'm buying
right at the smallest part of your waist. It's so flattering.
Yes, exactly. So that's been fun. But we all go through these phases and shifting. And I was like, I'm still a mid-rise gal, still like the mid-rise, but I feel like I'm starting to embrace the high-waisted. It's great for, you know, if I need to style a crop top or something and not feel like I'm just bearing it all on Instagram. Right. And I think that's what's interesting too about this community, because for me, I don't think there's a problem if you're confident doing that. Like people wear bikinis on Instagram and like the crochet lingerie that's out there now. And I think it's wonderful, but there are a lot of people like me who are like, I don't know if I want to be wearing it on Instagram.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's fun to see all of the different ways. Cause again, like with the crop tops, there are some people who for their tester photos had super low rise jeans on in the crop top and it looked amazing, you know?
Yeah.
And it just depends on the confidence level and the comfort level and what people want to wear and like. And, but everyone got to show what they would do, you know?
Yeah. With their unique take on it. I love that.
Exactly.
That's why people who don't like utilize their tester groups that way, I'm like, oh, you're missing out on so many looks to show people how amazing your pattern can be, because everybody can do something different with it.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Especially, I feel like it's, you know, I've seen testers where they'll share tester photos on Instagram, but then like it won't be in the listing, like for the pattern to purchase. And I'm like, but that's where people find you.
That's where you're buying. That's where you're making the choice. Like, do I want to buy it or not? Yeah. My like Ravelry and my website, there's like 49 pictures every time minimum. Like, and I enjoy going through being like, oh, I loved her in that one. Oh, and then she also made a second one and I put that one in there too so that people could see the difference. Like, it's so cool.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. And I do think if anyone is looking to be a designer, like, love your testers, care about them, listen to them, support them. Like it's a community now for me that I never thought I would have. I never thought I would have something that's that special. And so any testers in the chat, hands up to y'all. Cheers. Y'all are amazing.
Oh, are so fabulous. We love you so much. So much.
Couldn't do it without them. I mean, like literally could not do what we do as designers without them. I mean, for me, because
Absolutely.
I wouldn't want to not have the images and the feedback and like, you know, the idea of a tech editor sounds great. You know, I mean, this idea of like, I don't have to have a 6-month testing period, you know, or however long, not 6 months, but 6-week testing period, whatever it is for that design. But you know, you miss out on so much.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love my testers, and it just like popped into my head there. I know some people get nervous, like, oh, I'm too nervous to apply to be a tester. And if you have good designers, and I think most of the people that I know that design are amazing, but I always put in there like, testing is a job. It sure is. But you're not getting paid for it, so please don't sacrifice your physical or mental health for it. always put it like, if something happens, just give a designer a heads up. So I, at first, was really scared of testing because of my anxiety and depression. And I was worried that, and same thing with designing, I was worried that I would have a design going, or I would have a test that I was participating in going, and I'd get hit with a depressive bout or an anxiety spiral, and I wouldn't be able to finish on time. So I thought I couldn't do them then. But the thing is, I can. It's just open communication. If I'm a tester and that happens, I'll reach out to a designer. I've never had a designer be shitty to me because of it. And on the flip side, as a designer, like, knowing, I've had testers reach out that, like, you know, my dog died, or I've got this health crisis going on, and I'm like, you're out, then you're good. If you ever finish it, it's great. Stay in the testing group if it feels emotionally supportive to you. But please, for the love of everything, do not even worry. Like, this is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be helpful for designers, but it's also supposed to be a pleasant experience for everyone. So always say that. And I have, my great grandma passed away during one of my tests, and I let my testers know, and I was like, I'm not sure what's going to happen. Let's keep the test going. If I need to, like, step out, we'll extend the test. If you want to peace out, dip out, it's totally cool. Not a single tester left me, and we finished like 2 weeks later with all of these extra supportive messages that I got from people. Like, how are you doing today, Chelsea? And I'm just like, oh, it was still great. So don't let your mental health, physical health, whatever it is, you can work with a designer. You yourself can be a designer that works with testers.
Yeah. And I think you're right. And the biggest thing for me has always been communication, because I feel like I try to go out of my way to communicate quickly. You know, I'll answer messages at least once a day, if not every other day, if something comes up. You know, and I just expect the same for my testers. If something comes up, just tell me. Just give me as much heads up as you can. And that way I can plan ahead. And I know for me, like, my test groups have grown tremendously. I try to have 2 or 3 testers per size in case that happens, you know, because then if someone does drop out.
I don't know about you, every testing, it has happened. So that's why you need that. I aim for 2 to 3, but then I just hate saying no to people. So I always end up with like 4 to 6 per size, which is so fine, because I think my last testing group, I think I had 6 or 7 testers not be able to finish, and it was totally fine. Like, I understood everybody's reason, and there was no worries. So I was glad that I had other people in those sizes to do it. So
yes, exactly. And we said, RM Smith said, thanks, Chelsea. I needed to hear that. Darn fear getting in the way.
Don't let your fear. You can still do it. If you want to design, do it. If you want to test, sign up with me.
Yes.
Or with us.
Yes, well, and we are totally different spectrums, so you can do both for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Join us both. You can do one at the same time.
Yes. Well, and I think, you know, I feel like with testing, for me as someone who, I struggle with the idea of deadlines. You know, sometimes that the anxiety of a deadline is difficult, and so I don't have deadlines on my patterns. You know, I set a tester deadline.
Cool.
Now, there's a tester deadline because I'm like, you know, I want to give you guys a deadline of like, let's give you 6 weeks because things come up. Like, I made the Max jacket that's supposed to be the Stranger Things, the jacket that Max was wearing before. That thing is still going because I had to make so many updates and so many changes. It's one of the most complicated patterns I've had to make with a lot of moving pieces, and you know, so that has extended twice. And the same thing as you. I was like, if y'all need to like dip out, if you just can't finish, let me know.
Totally fine.
So far, everyone is still going. We're all chugging along.
Also, I've had tests where people were like, we're just not finishing. And it's like, no worries. Then let's give you an extra couple weeks. Like,
exactly. And so what I do is I don't tell people when that pattern's coming. Like, I know sometimes that can be, you know, you don't have as much of a lead up of like, this is coming in a week, this is coming in a month, like, get ready, mark your calendars. It's kind of like today, I was like, my hook bandelier's live. Yay! You know, guess what? Today it worked. I was able to get everything ready.
Do you get people though? Because I get people every time, like, I'll post a picture of like a tester whip or like the pattern on me and like, hey, it's coming soon. What's the release date? And I'm like, and then I have to go look, and I'm like, when is it? Or I'll set that up. I'll set that up at the beginning now because I still get that. And I'm wondering, like, could I just start going,
Soon. Uh-huh. Yeah, and I'll say, sometimes I'll be like, I'm hoping for next month, like I'm hoping for December, that's the plan. But I don't mind being vague because it's going to happen. And then I don't feel the stress, and I don't put the stress on the testers either. Because like if I had a release date for the Max jacket this month, I'd have to move it, so I don't want to do that. I don't do that.
I really love that. I talked a lot lately about how deadlines are arbitrary and it's okay to push them. And this is like taking it to the next level. Like, well, what if I just didn't give myself a deadline? What if there just wasn't a deadline that I had to keep pushing? It was just whenever it's organically ready. Mm-hmm. This is mind-blowing, Evelyn. I love this. I love this.
Don't stress yourself out. Like that's the least stress.
Just don't even create the deadline. This is amazing.
Mm-hmm. And usually it's like I'd love to release a pattern once a month. That's the kind of the goal. But like I've had, and you've had this experience. I was going to ask you too if you wanted to share a little bit about your experience, like working with yarn companies like Hobie. But sometimes you have deadlines, and I would rather stick with, if I'm going to have a deadline, it's going to be because of someone else, not because of me. So I'll have different projects with different deadlines. But we've both worked with Hobie. How has that been for you?
Oh, I love working with Hobie. I really do. I think they are so kind. The first time I ever worked with them, I didn't really give myself an ulcer, but it felt like I was about to get, because I was so like, what if I didn't get the yardage right for this design? And then I'm going to have to ask them for more yarn, and then they're not going to want to work with me because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And I did all of this, and I remember reaching out and being like so apologetic. And I am so sorry. I didn't make the right decision mathematically with my gauge, and so the yardage is off and all of these things, and I'm so sorry, but would there be any way to get more yarn? And they're like, yeah, how much you want? Mm-hmm. How much you want? All right, we'll send it out tomorrow. And I was like, oh, this is not this. I created so much more stress in my life than needed to be there. And since then, I've talked to other people. This hasn't happened in my particular case, but a couple makers I know, they have reached out to Hobie and like, hey, shit hit the fan, and I'm not going to meet this deadline. No worries. It's okay. Yeah. Just post it whenever you get there. No big deal. I'm like, what a nice yarn company. They're just, I have only really good things to say about Hobie. They're pretty awesome.
I love them. Yeah. I have gotten the chance now to try yarns that I honestly would not have afforded to purchase. And they've allowed me to try those as part of like their creator challenges.
Like their challenges are so much fun.
This one I'll show you in particular. So this is the Diablo multi.
So funny. My yarn from them, the Diablo, just arrived today. So
did you get the regular Diablo though?
I did. I'm testing a pattern for Ponder and Ply, and I got it. It's in black, like
but it's like fingering weight, right, or lace?
The Hobie or the Hobie Diablo?
Yeah. What is? I
think
it's worsted. Okay, so I think they must have like 3. I think they may have 3 because I feel like they have one that's like really little. But this is progress so far on my little sweater. I'll share a whip.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, so that'll be
so good. I love that.
Color choices are hard for me, and I'm still not like super sure how I feel about it, but I'm making myself love it because
it's like a teal and a pink and a gold, right? I feel like that's so it's jewel toned. It's I love it.
Colors are hard though. Colors are hard. I've been a struggle for me to color match and make those decisions for sure.
Especially projects that have multiple colors. Like if I have to do anything that involves a fade or anything, I just contact the yarn dyer, or I contact a friend yarn dyer to be like, here are all the colors that this comes in, and please put a palette together for them. Because like these colors, I just picked all that. This was a stash project. I picked all these CND things and then also called a friend and was like, and did these go? But anytime that I have
like orders.
I really suck. And like patterns where they give you, I've seen a few that send you like a coloring sheet so you can color in colors and see how it goes. I'm not good at that at all. I'm really bad at that.
well, and then it's like the color like markers I have are probably not going to be exactly the
Don't
same
match
as the yarn
those at
color.
all, yeah.
So I don't know. It's a mess. But I do think, you know, I would love to know for you when it came to working with Hobie, for anyone who's listening and is like, I want to work with Hobie, you know, did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them? And what advice do you have for working with yarn companies in general?
The very first time I worked with Hobie, it was because I grew a set and reached out to them. I really wanted to make a beach mat and had heard about Hobie.
Which is amazing, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I really love it. And I have another one that is made and the pattern is done. I just didn't do anything with it, so that'll be for next year. But I found the yarn that I wanted and it was Hobie, and I'm like, I mean, I could buy it, but I wonder if they just like give it to me if I'm gonna, you know, promote the yarn and stuff. Like, I see other people doing this, and I always wonder how the hell do they just. So I Googled how to like ask for free products or something like that, and wrote up like a little template. I had my husband revise it, and it was just like, you know, saying who I was and the types of things that I make. And here was my idea. And would they be interested in a collaboration where they give me yarn and I make a pattern? And they're like, oh my God, thank you for reaching out. Of course. Tell us how much you need. And I'm like, yay. I was floored. I was so excited. Thought this was the coolest thing. And then after that, they sent, like, once I started putting up some pictures of it, then they messaged me and they're like, hey, do you want to do a giveaway with it? Like, let's make this even bigger. I was like, ooh. So then we did that. And then they did reach out to me and ask if I wanted to, they have like a platform that they use for their influencers where we get sent the challenges. And then if you want to apply, you apply through the platform. So I got into that through there. But very first time was because I reached out to them. So,
yeah. And I am pretty sure to date that every opportunity I've had sponsoring, influencing, any of that has been I've reached out. I don't believe, like, thinking back, that anyone, so like for anyone who, you know, is nervous about it, and I really think it started with, one of the big ones was before we were making our own hooks was furls. And I noticed that there were people who were, you know, being an affiliate or being an influencer and like only had 3,000 to 5,000 followers. And I was like, I'm in that range at that point, you know, and I reached out and got into like at this time they had kind of it was a different system, but they did send me some free hooks and I started in their affiliate program. And so it's just like you said, the worst thing that can happen is they'll either say you're not at that point yet, or they won't say anything. And then it's really easy because it's like, okay, no big deal.
Yeah, if they say no, try a different company. And yeah, your follower count means nothing. If you feel you bring something to the situation, talk that up. You know, whether it's your engagement or your creativity or, you know, the way that you display things, your reach, whatever it is, you can talk that up and, you know, let people know why you are so awesome, because you are. And there's, you know, there's always a way to do it. I did that with Adore Me. I'm an Adore Me affiliate and a part of their like creators program. Yeah. I mean, I loved their lingerie and really loved that they were size inclusive, and I liked a lot of their missions. So I was like, just reach out and sent them a message and asked, and they're like, oh my gosh, we just started a creators platform. We'd love for you to join. And so I got in during the beginning, and now it's great. I love it.
That's awesome. I think a lot of it goes back to, again, what you really push is having the confidence and, you know, being willing to put yourself out there in all different ways, you know? So like, if you want to work with a yarn company, reach out. Like, this is what, now have a focus. Like, this is what I want to make. This is the yarn I want to use. This is why I want to do this. I
know your yardage. Know your yardage. Like, if you have a specific project in mind, or like if you're going to do a yarn review or whatever you want to do. But I remember when I sent them that, and they're like, great, how much yarn do you need? I'm like, oh shit, I should have figured that out first. Like, you need to know how much yarn you need. Helpful.
Yeah. And I do think that you'll be surprised. That's the thing, is I'm always surprised. You know, we had our DIY hook challenge this past summer, where people could decorate the hooks, and Joanne's sponsored a gift card for the kids category winner. You know, I mean, like, you just never know what people are going to be willing to do. And I think it is just being willing to continue. And even if people say no, like continue to put yourself out there, reach out to different companies.
People will say no, but that's okay. Yeah. You know, there's other people who are going to say yes.
Yes, or they'll just completely ignore you, which has happened to me multiple times. And I'm like, okay, that one's not happening. Next.
Yeah. not this time.
Okay, so yeah, do you guys think I can, I'm guessing, partner with a yarn company for homeless hats and scarves? I do, and I just developed, it's possible. I mean, I think reaching out and letting them know, it's just having that, like, here's exactly what I need, why I'm going to do it. And most of the time, as long as you're going to promote that, so if you get the yarn, you would show it off on your Instagram channel, you would tell people what you're using it for, you would tag them throughout the whole process. Hobie might be a really good one to do that with. Tell them it's a project, like you're doing this as a project. The
clearer you are with your vision of your project, the easier it is going to be for them to connect with it, to see like where you're going, and the more likely I think they would be to say yes. So absolutely, like, show them how they're benefiting from it as much as you are, and be very clear in your scope of your project. And I think that it definitely sounds like it's worth asking about.
Yes, I think so. This would be the difference. If you sent them an email and said, hey, I'm donating hats and scarves to a homeless shelter near me, can I have some yarn for it? Probably going to say no. But if you say, I'm doing a project where I'm creating these hats, I'm going to share my process, I would like to use your yarn to promote your yarn for this project, you know, that's a whole different, it is a lot in the way of wording it. And again, like Chelsea said, what are they going to get out of it? Because they do have to benefit from it. You know, they have to have some kind of promotion.
Exactly. So even if you're saying like, I'm going to do 2 reels and a post and go live, and my average reach is this. And not only will I promote it on Instagram, but it's also going to be on my Pinterest or my YouTube, and to my email subscribers. You know, if you can send me like a tracking link or something so that you can also be aware of it. Like for me personally, if you send all that, I'd be like, well, hell yeah, why not? Like that's great for me. Like
exactly. So, oh man, well, I had a whole bunch of other things that I was going to bring up today. But I had a feeling it was going to be really easy for us to talk for a long time. So I think what we need to do is we'll have to catch up after the holidays, and maybe have a focus too. Like we can pick a topic and chat. Because I didn't get to ask you about like half of these things.
I'm very chatty.
Me too. Exactly. Oh, before I go though, I did have to, in case you hadn't seen it, because this is one of the things that I've had so many projects that have been being completed lately that it's been a little crazy. But this is the one that makes me think of you. That if it was just a little bit colder where you were. Because I can see it over one of your lingerie pieces.
Oh my God, I saw you post that. That was for the Hobie challenge, wasn't it?
Yes.
Girl, when I saw that pink on pink with sparkle, you know what that is? That's over a bikini with a Santa hat on, frolicking into the ocean.
Exactly.
That's what that is.
So super fun. I finally finished it, and I added snaps. I've never done snaps before.
Snaps, what a great idea. I love that. That is such a cool jacket.
I didn't want a button. You know, I've done buttons, and I didn't want a zipper because I've added more zippers into jackets now than I ever thought I would want to ever.
I love it. I love that so much.
And it was really easy. I need to add like 2 more, but that was a fun option for closure, you know, for a crocheted piece.
And it keeps the sparkle just like pure.
Yes, exactly. Well, I think that's all the time we have. But
it's been fun though. We'll do another one.
Yeah. I'm so happy that you were able to come on and join me. Finally, we got to go live. If you guys are not following Chelsea, please go give her a follow. You can actually go right now. If you click up here on this little part, and it'll show who's live. You can click on there. You can go follow her immediately.
Oh my God, that's so cool. I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, so you can go over, give her a follow. You said you're hopefully going to be starting a YouTube channel soon, so you guys be on the lookout for that. That's
probably this weekend.
Yes, and you'll announce it on Instagram. You guys just need to follow her on Instagram. now and check it out. And check out her patterns. You have some amazing patterns. And yeah, I think that's everything for now.
Thank y'all so much for I just want to say, I'm seeing so many people like starting to follow. I'm like, oh my God, thank y'all so much.
Yes. And I don't think I'm going to have a guest next Friday. I have been trying to like, it's busy time. It's busy time.
It's hard. Everybody's got stuff they're doing.
So I think next Friday, I don't know if I'm going to go live or not, but the next Friday I will be live with Lava Girl Knits on the 16th.
Love Lava Girl Knits. I love her.
That's the goal. I do need to make sure that she's still good for that, but that's the goal. And for anyone watching this now live, if you missed part of it, it will be live on my Instagram feed. Following this, I'll post it. And then it should be live on my YouTube channel within the next couple of days. So we'll be there. As long as that's okay.
About that. You can do that? You can put like a live from Instagram onto YouTube?
So you can, now make sure that your live videos are set to archive. So you can go into your live archives, download the video, and then just upload it to YouTube.
Oh, Evelyn, I love you.
It's amazing.
Great.
Yeah, I think this is episode 37, maybe, of Pink Sheep and Friends. So there's a whole YouTube playlist.
I do all my whiskey and whips that are Wednesday evenings, and I've been doing them for I have over 100 of them, and I've been like, oh man, I wish I could do it in both places. That I thought about that. So I was like, am I going to have to do one on YouTube and then like 1 week here? But if I can just upload them that way, that's pretty awesome.
Now, I'm pretty sure even if they're not in your archive, as long as you've uploaded them to to Instagram, I think you can just go back, and I think there's like in the little 3-dot menu, I think you can download them as long as they've been posted to your feed. So download all of them, because I've thought about turning mine into podcasts, but like that's a whole nother ball game. That'd take a lot of time, but maybe one day, because extract the audio, upload them. So many ways to reuse content to make you not stress out.
Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, so definitely check that out and try that, because then you would go ahead and be able to really populate your YouTube, at least.
Oh my gosh, so quickly, just like start uploading videos. I love that.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. All right, well, we will talk to you guys again soon, and I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I hope your holidays have started out great, and we'll talk to you soon. All right?
Thanks.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.